Stoicism becomes known as a strong way to fight vices. Stoics say that vices take away people's ability to think and choose freely, making them like animals whose instincts and wants control them. Stoicism is basically the practice of virtue all the time. It's an intellectual habit that keeps us away from vice and helps us live a full and happy life. As you may have learned, vice makes people very unhappy. At first, it might seem satisfying, but that satisfaction is short-lived. It leaves behind pain, suffering, and misery when it fades. While vices may seem to make us happy, they actually drain us and leave a wound in our souls that can only be healed by virtue. It was Marcus Aurelius who said that vice is its own punishment, prone to harming themselves. Seneca also said that vice is the worst enemy, and virtue is the best defense. I want to help you master yourself, get rid of your vices, and become happier and more moral. In this video, the video will be split into two parts to make this possible. First, I'll talk about what a Stoic means by vice, and now I'll give you 10 tips on how to fight vice with virtue. Before we start, please think about giving the video a like to help get this idea out there. Sign up for updates and click the bell to make sure you don't miss anything. In the description, I've also put links to my other Stoic posts on different social media sites. Stoicism says that vice is bad behavior that is morally wrong, a social disease that leads to irrational desires. It makes it hard to judge, hurts people, and destroys inner peace. People usually think of vanity, anger, fear, lust, greed, gluttony, and addictions as examples of vices. Marcus Aurelius writes beautifully about these changes in the soul. He says that ignorance and a lack of self-control are the main and worst vices. When you make a mistake about failing to use the virtue of wisdom, you end up with vice. There are two ways that our understanding can go when we are drunk or high. Either it thinks something is good when it's actually bad, or it knows what's bad. It tries to persuade itself that it's good. In both cases, the result is the same confusion, the expression of error, the reject person of reason, and the freedom to enjoy and want things by their very nature. Impulses are selfish and irrational, lowering us to animal level. Giving in to vice means giving up reason, which is what makes us human, and becoming a slave to our passions. Giving up reason makes us dependent and easy to manipulate because others can easily take advantage of our weaknesses. Marcus Aurelius said that the vices were found in the era of self-control, which came after the era of ignorance. However, falling into vices does not mean we have made a mistake that we can't fix. Seneca, on the other hand, said that virtue is the best cure for vice. So according to Stoicism, it is important to fight every day, practice virtue, try to become more calm and logical, and give up vices slowly. This task is hard, but it fits with the goal of finding true happiness. It wouldn't be as amazing or valuable if it were easy to be completely happy. If you think like a Stoic, you probably agree with these thoughts. Still, you may be curious about what you can do right now to fight your vices. Inside the second part of this video, I'll give you some tips on how to fight the power of vices and grow in virtue. Number 1. Self-reflection and getting to know yourself. The process of overcoming vices begins with a deep reflection on oneself, a reflective journey through the complex landscape of one's soul. It is a journey that requires a deep understanding of who you are. This isn't just a casual look inside. It takes a conscious effort to discover the hidden sides of your personality and understand the little details that make vices attractive. Dive deep into your mind and discover the intricate parts that make up your personality. You must carefully observe your feelings, actions, and thoughts. Which of your vices have sometimes influenced your decisions? Recognize your weaknesses and face them honestly. It is not a sign of weakness to recognize these things about yourself. Rather, it is a sign of how strong and courageous you are, and it is an important first step towards freedom from vice. As you learn more about yourself, you may have to face uncomfortable truths and recognize patterns you haven't seen before. What drives you to do bad things? Are there feelings or events outside the person that led to this? Looking at it closely will give you the tools you need to build a strong defense against vices that might try to get you. Remember that learning more about yourself is an ongoing process. It is important to go through this process of self-reflection again and again, because self-image is not a static goal, but a journey that is constantly changing. Accept that the landscape of your inner world is constantly changing. In this growing understanding, you will find the strength to face and overcome your vices. Number 2. Taking up the Odyssey of Virtue. As you embark on the right path to overcoming your vices, it is important to remember that this is a profound journey of self-discovery, resilience, and change. Understanding that the path to freedom from vice is not a short run or a leisurely walk, but a marathon, is the first step toward lasting change. Know that this journey requires time, patience, and a strong commitment. The development of virtue requires constant and conscious effort. Just like making a strong sword, careful craftsmanship is required. Chip. Some vices are so deeply rooted that over time they become part of you. They have become part of your habits and reactions. Break through these ingrained patterns. You have to work on this over time and consciously. As the seasons change, you will inevitably encounter problems on your trip. It is important to understand that these setbacks do not mean that you have failed, but rather that they are necessary parts of the change process. In the ups and downs of personal growth, it is not only normal to make mistakes from time to time, but it can also teach you a lot, becoming your constant friend. A guiding force that pushes you forward, even when the path seems difficult. Know that the journey is not just about victories. It's also about the lessons you learn when you're weak. Accept setbacks as important opportunities to learn more about yourself. View them not as problems impossible to solve, but as steps toward greater self-mastery. View this journey as an investment in your own health and an opportunity to discover the vast range of possibilities that exist within you, as an experienced navigator charts a course through uncharted waters. You must also summon courage and determination to navigate the complicated landscape of your mind. They realize that the Odyssey of Virtue is not just a predetermined destination, but a journey that constantly changes them, a sign of how strong you are in the long term. Number 3. Finding the beacon of purpose. On the confusing path to overcoming vices and establishing a deep connection with your motivations, finding the beacon of purpose becomes like a North Star guiding your ship through rough seas. Dig deep into your soul to find the real reasons that drive you to pursue virtue. Once you know what drives you, those reasons become a beacon of intention, shining on the dark side of vices and temporary pleasures. Begin this journey of self-reflection by thinking about the main question. Why do you want to get rid of these bad habits? What drives you to be good is what makes you want to be good, and understanding them is like making the foundations of a strong castle stronger against the attacks of evil. Their reasons can be as varied as the stars in the night sky. Be it the desire for lasting happiness, the dedication to personal growth, or the goal of establishing deep contacts with other people. Each of your unique motivations is a source of strength. When you face challenges and temptations and are tempted by short-term pleasures, These motivations remain strong and remind you of the greater purpose that goes beyond the temporary pleasures of vices. It is very important to deeply internalize these reasons for what you do. This will help you feel stronger when things get difficult. You may want to write a personal manifesto. That includes a list of your goals and the deep reasons why you want to be good. This written will serve as a physical reminder in moments of weakness and binds you to deep beliefs that are stronger than the lure of instant gratification. Accept your impulses as guardians of your virtue, and realize that the pursuit of lasting happiness is worth far more than the short-term pleasures that vices provide along your journey. These reasons give you a sense of purpose and strength and guide you to the shores of lasting happiness rather than the dangerous waters of short-term pleasure. Number 4. On your path to virtue, you must set attainable goals. Setting clear goals is an important part of pursuing something because it gives you meaning and direction. Setting achievable goals is like making a plan for breaking new ground. It takes careful and conscious navigation to reach the shores of virtue. Let's start by setting goals and walking the fine line between being difficult and being successful. He stopped thinking about the bigger picture of his good intentions. What is it like for you to reach the point of virtue? What specific parts of your personality and behavior would you like to change? As you answer these questions, set concrete, achievable goals that challenge your current habits and stay within your comfort zone. Recognizing how difficult the task at hand is an important part of setting achievable goals. It's not easy to break bad habits. It requires coordinated effort, commitment to progress, and an awareness that change occurs gradually. Think of your goals as a stepping stone. Each brings you closer to the highest level of virtue. These goals should be like beacons to help you find your way through the turbulent waters of personal change. You should make an effort. But don't forget to keep a good dose of reality in mind. Unrealistic expected actions can upset you and weaken the foundation of your good journey. Remember that the journey is a marathon, not a sprint, and your goals should reflect this in order to make good progress towards them. Break the big goal of being good into smaller, more manageable steps. Celebrate every success, no matter how small, because it means you are making progress. This gradual approach not only gives people a sense of achievement, but also ensures that the pursuit of virtue remains a worthwhile activity. As you set these goals, think about how your own journey will be different from everyone else's. Your goals should be consistent with your motivation and the larger story of your moral journey. Achieving a goal strengthens your commitment to virtue and prepares you for the next challenge. Let these goals be like notes in a great symphony of your quest. They should fit perfectly to the melody of your desired signs and guide you through the rhythms of personal growth. Take advantage of the way realistic goals can help you find virtue, while also knowing that your path to change will happen again and again. Number 5. Start out slowly. Starting to change slowly is the smart thing to do in the complicated dance of transformation, especially when caught in the web of vices. A careful and nuanced progression that makes me think of building a mountain out of sand grains. Marcus Aurelius, a wise man, supported this way of thinking, which becomes your guiding philosophy as you start your path to living a good life. Think about how deeply rooted vices are in you. They are made up of habits, urges, and emotional responses that are so strong that they are part of who you are. To untangle all these complicated threads, you need to be patient and plan ahead. Think of the process as sculpting a masterpiece. Each careful stroke adds to the final product, which is a good work of art. To start, pick out a specific vice that you want to work on instead of trying to cut all ties with it at once. Choose a reduction or modification that is done in stages. For example, if you want to stop putting things off, start by setting aside specific times to work on one thing at a time, then gradually add more time to this disciplined routine. Marcus Aurelius. Comparison of building a mountain. Out of sand grains is a great way to explain how things change over time. Break the big goal of getting through the ice into smaller steps that you can handle. Even though these small changes may not seem like much on their own, they add up to make a huge change in behavior. This slow approach is useful for more than one reason. The first thing it does is recognize that big changes take time and effort. Second, it makes it possible for an easier adjustment, trying to keep your system from being too shocked by sudden changes. Third, it gives you a sense of mastery, because each small victory boosts your confidence and makes you more determined as you move forward. Look back at your journey every so often. Think about the progress you've made and the lessons you've learned. This practice of reflection makes sure that your approach stays flexible and changes as your understanding of yourself does. The beauty of this slow rise is not just the fate that was chosen, but also the way it changed things, like a sculptor improving a work of art or a composer writing a symphony. Enjoy the intricate craftsmanship of your good deeds. Accept the small changes that happen over time as important strokes on the canvas of your character. Each one adds to the beautiful picture of a life lived in pursuit of virtue. Number 6. Avoid stressful situations when it comes to living a good life. The architecture of your surroundings is very important to keep yourself from giving in to the calls of vices. Why is advice comes up? You can avoid situations that could lead to a relapse by changing your habits and the places where you spend time. When you do this strategic recalibration with courage and determination, it becomes a key part of your fight against the siren call of temptations. Recognize that the places you live and the habits you have there are not just background, they are actively shaping how you act. Start the process of changing by thinking about the places or situations, oceans that have historically fed your vices. Pinpoint these triggers with complete honesty. Whether it's being alone late at night that leads to bad habits or certain groups of people that make temptation stronger. Once you know what it is, find the courage to make changes on purpose. You might want to change your daily routine to avoid or lessen these high-risk situations. If you tend to put things off until the wee hours of the morning, make it a habit to follow a strict evening routine that puts rest and recovery first. In the same way, if your social settings make bad habits more appealing, you might want to rethink your activities and spend more time in places that encourage good habits. Being self-aware and having the guts to change yourself is needed for this process. Don't be afraid to face the habits that get in the way of your progress toward virtue. Being brave isn't just about standing up for what you believe in. It's also about changing your environment so that it fits with your goals. Build places that are strong, defenses against temptation. Create places on purpose that encourage good habits and keep bad ones from taking over. If you want to be more focused at work or more calm in your home, think of your surroundings as blank canvases that are just waiting to be painted with the virtues of living a good life. Remember that this journey of change requires you to be flexible. Be willing to change your environment as you learn more about how you are changing. Take on the challenge as a chance to be creative. Each change you make will be like a brushstroke that adds to the masterpiece of your good life. Number 7. Making the choice to stay away from people who promote vice becomes a key compass point in the complicated path of living a good life. Real care for someone goes beyond just being there for them. It means that you really want their well-being. Realizing that people who promote vices might be blocking your path to real happiness is a brave step toward building a life based on virtue. Start by taking an honest look at your social circle. You should figure out who the people are that tend to push you toward bad behavior, whether they mean to or not. Figure out how their presence affects your path to living a good life, knowing that your own health and the health of those you share your journey with are connected, and is an important part of truly caring for yourself and others. Start the process of detachment with courage. Please understand that this decision is not an accusation, but rather a choice to protect oneself and grow as a person in the pursuit of virtue. You should surround yourself with people whose influence matches your goals, making a space that encourages good habits and shared values. Getting away from people who help others is a sign of high self-respect. It means realizing that if you want to be truly happy, you have to be careful about what energies and influences you let into your life, as a garden does better when it is free of weeds that take over your journey to virtue does better. When you are free from relationships that help you do bad things, accept the freeing power of choice. You are committed to living a good life because you have chosen to stay away from people who help others do bad things. That's not an act of judgment. It's a choice to make sure your path fits with your values. While this recalibration is hard, it makes it possible for your personal journey to grow and, in turn, improves the well-being of everyone involved. Don't forget that the process of detachment changes over time. You learn more about the relationships that shape your environment as you grow. Pay attention to the ups and downs of relationships, and make sure you are always around people who make you grow. Spread happiness and share your desire to be truly happy through good living. Number 8. Ask for help on the path to personal change. When you realize that asking for help is both a sign of strength and a wise decision, you will become very wise. Don't be afraid to ask other people for help based on their knowledge and experiences. Spend money on useful things that will help you on your journey. Some people have dealt with similar vices and come out on top, and they are ready to help and guide. You realize that the path to virtue doesn't have to be a one-person show. Vices can cause a lot of problems, and the combined knowledge of others can help you find your way through the complicated parts of your own journey. Find people in your network, like friends, family, mentors or co-workers whose views are similar to yours. When it comes to living a good life, being open and vulnerable is important during this process. Talk about your goals, your problems, and the specific bad habits you want to get rid of. By doing this, you allow space for the wisdom of many people to light your path. People who have been through similar things can give you advice based on their own experiences. Gives you the tools and strategies you need to master your own journey. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Show that you want to grow. It means realizing that different points of view and the strength of a community of support make the path to virtue more interesting. Take advantage of the chance to learn from the successes and failures of people who have been through similar problems. You might want to talk to someone, join a support group, or get professional help. Therapists, counselors, and life coaches are trained to give you individualized help and are equipped with the tools to help you overcome your vices. Unbiased opinions can help you understand things better and give you hope. Don't forget that you won't be making this journey alone. The combined knowledge of others becomes a source of strength and creates a sense of community and shared purpose as you overcome the challenges of overcoming vices. Be comforted by the stories of people who have been through similar things and let their advice help you live a good life. Number 9. Know the difference between pleasure and satisfaction. As you navigate the labyrinth of the good life, you realize something important. You must be able to distinguish between short-term pleasure and long-term satisfaction, while consciously staying away from vices. Discover the vast difference between these two states of being, and remember that the pursuit of both is closely linked to the development of lasting happiness. You should know that pleasure, which is often short-lived and fleeting, is the immediate gratification you get from indulging in your vices. It is the fleeting feeling of happiness that comes in the form of a release from pain or short-term desire. Contentment based on virtue, on the other hand, lasts longer than pleasure. When you act in accordance with your values and principles, you experience an ever deeper sense of happiness. As an example, consider a fading flame and a constant glow. Pleasure is like the flame of a candle. It gives you a short burst of heat, but can go out in the lightest breeze. Happiness, on the other hand, is like the constant, unwavering light of a well-kept fire. It keeps you warm and lit while staying away from vices. Think of times in the past when short-term pleasure may have masked a deeper desire for long-term happiness. Recognize that the pursuit of virtue requires a paradigm shift, a decision to prioritize the long-term satisfaction that comes with living a good life over the temporary appeal of vice. Practice being mindful of the decisions you make each day and consider whether an action is motivated by a desire for short-term pleasure or long-term satisfaction. This practice of self-reflection can help you make decisions that are good for your long-term health and happiness. Remember that the path to long-term happiness is not without problems. It requires perseverance, patience, and a strong commitment to moral principles. On the other hand, the advantages are enormous: a life full of meaning, purpose, and a deep sense of fulfillment. Number 10. Think of the damage that can occur in a quiet place of good living. There is a profound moment of reckoning, a moment that makes you think about the harm you cause when you give in to your vices. Explore the idea that vices are like rough currents in a great ocean. You create a spiral in the hangover that traps you and sends out waves that affect other people's lives. When one chooses virtue, he begins a good path for a greater good. Recognize that morally informed decisions can make things better. To begin this journey of reflection, you must recognize that vices harm people in many different ways. Think about how it affects your health, how it prevents you from growing as a person, how it prevents you from being truly happy, and how it gradually destroys your character. At the same time, think about the impact your actions might have on your friends, family, and the community as a whole. Think of vices as threads in a tapestry that tells a story of pain and struggle. Remember that can drag anyone into its harsh currents once the spiral of vices gets going. This awareness is like a clarion call, tells us to rise above the tide and try to live a good life. Accept the idea that choosing virtue is not something you do alone, but something you all do together for the greater good. Every decision to stay away from bad things is like a shockwave, a force of good fighting against the currents of discord. When you strive for the common good, you become a positive force in moving history toward harmony and well-being. Take some time to think about how you and the world around you can change. Think about the other option, a life full of effects of bad habits. Perpetuate a cycle of pain and anger. It acts like a powerful medicine. Choose virtue, a force that can break the chains of negative patterns and create a wave of positive influence. The discussion of the control of vices stands out as a deep and transformative thread in the rich tapestry of Stoic philosophy. Philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius wrote in about the Stoic view, which has an eternal wisdom that transcends its historical roots. The Stoics believed that self-discipline and living a good life could improve people. Seneca's emphasis on overcoming vices demonstrates this idea. It fits with the Stoic idea that the only way to find true happiness is to overcome one's problems. In Paul, Epictetus gave a very clear picture of how destructive habits can hold one back. He said that vices are like chains that hold back freedom and inner peace. Stoicism is a way of thinking that essentially wants to free the soul from these shackles that it places on itself. This freedom leads to peace and control over oneself. Marcus Aurelius looked at vices as weaknesses that must be overcome in order to become great and wise. This is similar to the Stoic idea that virtue is not just an idea, but a force that drives people to reach their fullest potential. The battle against vices turns into a furnace for personal growth and the growth of wisdom as a language model for artificial intelligence. As for me, I don't have any vices or struggle with them, but I like the Stoic ideas which stress self-awareness, toughness, and the search for virtue. The Stoic way of